Let's talk about the next topic in organizational behavior, that is power and politics. Now, power is when you can make somebody do what you want him to do, and that happens because there is dependency. He depends on you to give him something, so you have something that he needs, and that's why you have power over that person. Now, how do you get power? There are various sources or types or classification in which you can look at power. One is when you have coercive power. You have the power to punish that person. So it's based on fear. He is afraid of you. Then there is reward power, when you have the power to reward that person, give him something that he wants, money or something. So like a boss could probably have both reward power and coercive power. Then a boss has something called legitimate power or positional power. He has power simply because he's sitting in that chair. The organization has made him the boss, and you are his junior. So he has power over you. That is the hierarchical nature of the company. The senior has power over the junior. That's a simple kind of a thing. Sometimes you have information power. Knowledge is power, we say. So somebody has information, important information, and that gives power to that person. Sometimes there is expert power. The expert, somebody who is very knowledgeable, very skilled and competent, has power because of his expertise. A doctor is an expert, so he has power, and the patient has to listen to the doctor and do as he says. Sometimes there is referent power or charismatic power, which comes not from the position but simply because the person has a terrific personality and you are automatically drawn towards that person, and you defer to that person. You do as he says because you find him or her powerful and you are impressed by him, and he exerts that influence on you simply by way of his charisma or his personality or things that you like about him or you respect about him. It happens automatically and naturally. He is not your boss, but he's somebody that you respect, you admire, you are in awe of, a big shot, an important person, and just because of that, or he has some great personality characteristics, and because of that you are willing to be influenced by him. So that is how power happens and what power is all about. Now, power in politics, whether the informal part or the formal part, happens everywhere. There is some politics going on in all organizations. There is some power games going on everywhere, in every relationship, even between husband and wife, even in organizations, even in other settings, between children and their parents. There is some politics going on in all relationships. Human beings are like that. So there is some politics going on, and some people are political people. They are political animals, so they just can't help themselves, right? So some politics and some power games are going to be there. Nothing wrong with it, and it's human nature. When it goes beyond the implied rules of the game, then it is illegitimate politics. Some politics is okay, I mean, but when it too much politics, which is not the done thing, it's not ethical or not normal, or goes beyond, it becomes counterproductive or detrimental, and it's violates the rules of the game or implied rules of the game, then that becomes a problem. So that kind of politics has to be, is not desirable. Now, the important thing to note is powerful people don't really need to do too much politics. In fact, the weaker people, people who are weak, have to indulge in politics. You can't confront the powerful guy head on, straight out. So you have to play games, political games, dirty tricks, and all that. A terrorist can't fight the army, the state's power, so he hits and runs. Guerrilla tactics, guerrilla warfare. You can't fight the army head on, so you have to do other things. You have to have snipers, and snipers is okay, but you have to do other things because you can't fight and win. So you have to find out other things. You have to have lobbies and politics and games and saying something to some people and making coalitions and all that, because you can't fight head on. You can't fight the powerful person or the entity head on. That would be destructive for you. So the powerful person doesn't really need to do too much politics. He can simply demolish the opponent. But when the opponent is weak, the opponent has no choice if he wants to fight and win. So he can't fight fair. He can't fight openly. So he has to play dirty games and do dirty politics and all sorts of tricks and political tricks and all those kinds of things. Now, taking it beyond the normal organizational context and all that, the famous saying about power is, of course, something that Lord Acton said years ago, that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And somehow everybody has embraced that saying. And I think it is partly true, but I wouldn't say it is completely true. In my personal opinion, that is a dangerous thing, that we have embraced this saying as if it is gospel truth, and we have made power out to be a dirty word. We all officially hate the word power, and we think power is a dirty thing. Now, this is a very dangerous and negative thing to do, and stupid and nonsensical thing to do, in my opinion. Power is necessary. Just think of power in the context of mechanics or physics. You can't move anything without power. Power is energy. I have to move this thing from this place to this place. I need energy or power. So hydroelectric power, electric power, battery power, thermal power, solar power. Things have inertia, and to move things you need power or energy. So when we talk in terms of physics or mechanics, we don't say power is bad or good. We need power to move things. If we don't have power, vehicles won't move, we won't have electricity, we won't have fans, we won't have air conditioners. Everything requires energy. Power is energy, essentially. So why is it bad? The same thing applies to non-mechanical power or power in human relationships or political power or whatever kind of power or administrative power. Without power, you can't move things. Even people have inertia. Organizations have inertia. Physical bodies do not have to have inertia. Even mentally, you could have inertia. You don't want to change. You want to continue as you are doing. Newton's law of inertia applies to intangible stuff also, like emotions or maybe mental issues and all that. People want to continue as they are. Either they are at rest or they are moving. They don't want to change anything. So only power will influence this inertia or remove this inertia or counteract against this inertia. So power is necessary. Power is a tool. It's not to be feared or to be afraid of. It is absolutely necessary. You can't get things done unless you have power. So power has got a bad name because of Lord Acton, and I think one has to look at it in the right perspective. Aung San Suu Kyi, the famous Burmese leader, once said that it's not power that corrupts, but the fear of losing power that corrupts people. I am in power and I am scared of losing power, so I try to do bad things to hold on to my power. That could also be partly true. Secondly, the important thing about power is not like knowledge. Like we say, you share knowledge and that doesn't reduce your knowledge. Sometimes a teacher learns more by teaching students, because students may ask questions and sometimes the teacher's concepts themselves become clear. And knowledge doesn't reduce because of sharing. Maybe it increases. And you also become more knowledgeable because you become clearer when you are teaching somebody. Whereas the use of power normally reduces power. For example, Mao Zedong famously said, power flows from the barrel of a gun. I'm pointing a gun at you. Now I have power so long as I have not fired the bullet. The moment I fire that bullet, you are dead. So then there is no power. You're already dead. What can I do with a dead person? Right? Or let us say there is a company in which there are employees. Now, if the boss fires somebody, fires means gets rid of or terminates or sacks that employee, then the employee goes off to the organization. You have no more power over him because you are not his boss anymore. So you have power over him only while he is within the organization. So the moment you use your firing power, your power over him reduces, you have one less employee to control. So sometimes I think many people don't fire people because they are scared of losing their power. Maybe in family managed businesses, they give a lot of firing in terms of they rebuke people and all that, but they never get rid of them. Because if I have got 100 employees, I control 100 employees, I have power of 100. If I sack 50 people, then I only have 50 people and I have power only over 50. So my power has gone down. So I don't want to lose my power. So I don't want to fire anybody. I don't want to sack anybody. So sometimes this could be at play. So because use of power reduces power and you don't want your power to reduce. So sometimes you don't use it at all and you don't do anything. And maybe it's true in maybe political or bureaucratic settings and all that. And that kind of keeps you at a heightened level. And maybe that heightened level of power intoxicates you and maybe corrupts you in some ways or the other. So these are some of the things that I have to say about power, because it has been badmouthed too much and too unnecessarily, I think. Uh, Plus, think of the other thing, like let's say when you talk of power, coercive power or reward power, we basically think of a normal organization or a business organization, and the only power there is money. You hire an employee, so you are looking after his livelihood and you have given him a job, so he gets paid and he has a salary. And you fire that employee and he's out of a job and he doesn't have money. So the only reward that you can give is money and some status and stuff like that, or livelihood, means to a livelihood. And the only thing that you can take away is that, nothing more. You can't kill that person in an organization. The biggest punishment is firing, sacking. Nothing else can be done. Whereas if you look at, so there is a limit to how much efficiency you can have. When you have very powerful rewards and penalties at your disposal, then you can make the organization much more efficient and it can be done much more smoothly and much more effectively. Just think of criminal organizations or mafia organizations or religious organizations. If you look at films and books and novels and things, we tend to get a feeling that criminal organizations are much more efficient. They work much more smoothly and efficiently because the boss of the crime gang, the mafia boss, can shoot his junior guy if he doesn't listen to him. So fear of death, he is not going to lose money, he is simply going to die, and death is the biggest possible penalty that one could receive. So the fear is very high. The fear of dying is 100 times higher than the fear of losing a job. So because this coercion is so strong, the efficiency is also very strong. Things get done, things happen in criminal organizations. You don't have to persuade and argue and all that. The thing simply gets done because the boss can shoot his henchman. Similarly, in religious organizations, in a way it represents God, and God has terrific or infinite power and infinite capacity to punish. He can send you to hell, he can send you to heaven, he can give you nirvana. So I mean, what else can be more powerful than the reward of heaven or nirvana, or the punishment of hell, or coming close to God, or love of God, or salvation, and all that. So that kind of a reward or fear of God or love for God is again a very strong, extremely strong reward and extremely strong penalty. God is all powerful. So he can really reward you powerfully enough and punish you powerfully enough, which is much beyond what normal mortals or humans can do. So even there you see they work like clockwork. Some religious organizations are extremely big, extremely well organized, extremely well run, extremely efficient. And as a business organization, one would have to envy criminal organizations and religious organizations for the efficiency that they can have, simply because the rewards and punishments at the disposal, the tools that they have, are much bigger than what a normal business has. The normal business can only do hiring and firing. It can't kill people, it can't send somebody to heaven or bring him or her closer to God or bring God's wrath upon that person. So that is an interesting example of how rewards and penalties play a role in how the organization works, the efficiency with which it works, the smoothness with which things get done, and people listen to you. So, unnecessarily being scared of power in the sphere of public life has made us, we are always trying to reduce somebody's power. We don't want to make anybody too powerful. We say we must have checks and balances and controls and all that. And sometimes we overdo these things. Even important people who need to have power to get things done, there are too many conditionalities imposed because we are scared that, oh, if this person becomes too powerful, he will become corrupt and he will make life hell for everybody else under his power and all that. So we always try to curtail the power of that person, the position and the power of that person. And fear is legitimate, but at times, if you look at it, it makes that person ineffective because he can't really do much, because you have given him power in name only, and then you have put so many conditions that he can't really exercise his power because you are scared that, oh, we have given him power and if he abuses power, then what? So you put too many checks and balances, and those checks and balances sometimes make that person ineffective because he doesn't have real power. The power that he has is just there in name sake only, and he doesn't actually have that power. He can't really exercise that power because you put too many conditions and hindrances, and without power you can't move things around, you can't get things done. So we need to, of course, I mean, the flip side is also true. It is possible that things can go wrong, but that is sometimes we have to be willing to take that risk, because it's like nuclear power. You can use fission, nuclear fission, to give you energy, electrical energy, and enormous amount of electrical energy, and you could use nuclear fission to in an atom bomb and kill people. So its power is like that. Power is neutral. It's a tool. It is up to the user. If you have good people and if you give them power, they will probably do good stuff. If you have bad people who you give power to, they will do bad stuff. And sometimes I think, is it true that power corrupts, or is it true that only the corrupt come to power? There is a good guy who has become powerful and now power has corrupted him. Maybe that happens. But sometimes the people who rise to positions of power or become powerful are already corrupted. So let's not blame power unnecessarily. It's a tool like any other tool, and the tool is neutral. You can use it for good or you can use it for bad. The tool is value neutral. It doesn't, tool is a tool, it's not a human being, right? So power is like that. You can use it to power your homes and energy and electricity, or you can use it as a bomb and kill off people and destroy people. So how you use it is up to you. And let's not blame this tool. It's a very necessary tool. In energy, in physics, we can't live without it. So even in human affairs, we have to look at it that way only. Thank you.